Welcome to another episode of Chuck the Comic Guy. And it's a pretty good one, I think. We'll see. It's not done yet. It's July 20th. Let's see. Is there anything significant of news that's happened today on July 20th? Is it that the grass is still green and the sky is still blue? Is it that the weather's pretty decent today in Michigan? Does it have anything to do with the World Cup? Nope, it has to do with a trailer that dropped today. So I will get to that. That's my little teaser to the Doomsday announcements and updates and trailer. So I want to start off. Thank you to everybody listening right now. It's been a busy week again. I think I'm just kind of, might be a once a weeker right now. I've been so devoted to my challenge that I will also talk about that I've been doing on social media that's unraveled everything like a TVA timeline. So, but yeah, thank you. I'm on social media, Chuck the Comic Guy, TikTok, Instagram, Substack, YouTube, and Spotify. And just been trying to just enjoy the rest of what we have of summer. So it's been keeping me pretty well entertained, and to also counting down the time till we get to be able to see Spider-Man Brand New Day. Well, I don't know why I said it like that. Brand New Day. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty crazy next 6 months with Marvel. We got some news that took place over the weekend that they relocated. Well, it was end of last week. So yeah, Friday to Saturday, I believe, that Marvel moved out of New York. And just kind of shocked everybody because they've been there for 90 years, headquartered in New York. And I think that this has something to do, there's some details. Again, this is kind of like their corporate letting you know, their corporate newsletter to you of sorts to announce this kind of news, because you should know that they are moving to Burbank, California. That will finalize a year from now. They're expected to be fully moved in July 2027. If we go back a few weeks, we remember that they were laying people off. They were trimming the proverbial fat of talent that they had working for them. There's a lot of people pretty upset about that. That was right around CinemaCon. They just started and now making announcements that things were kind of getting cut down there a little bit, while they're also doing the announcement about other things and teasers for Infinity Vision and all this other stuff. So that was a whole thing. I wonder how much of that is now played into what is happening with the relocation of going to California. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to feel weird. I don't know. I don't want to I don't know anything about behind the scenes stuff with Marvel. They keep things pretty tight to the chest. Although, I mean, they'll tell you what they want you to hear for sure, making announcements like this. But I don't know if this has any political motivations. I know there's a whole change of things going on in New York with their new mayor and everything else. I don't know if there's something. See, there's just so many underlying factors sometimes that you would think that it could be anything just kind of mundanely stupid, right? Like, oh, there's a different tax break or something if we go over here, or we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row in one place because Disney's headquartered out of Burbank. I mean, it makes sense to do that way too. Keep everything kind of close in proximity to each other. So maybe they're trying to use the move to try to say that this is a way to better communicate instead of trying to have all this Zoom calls and email threads. We could just all be headquartered in one spot, and we can get everything more geared up that way. I don't know. They make the announcement that they're moving. It's a bummer for people in New York that loved having Marvel in their backyard. Good for California, I guess. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. They have a new person in charge also of everything going on, Stephen Walker, who's going to be kind of heading things from here on out. when this whole transition takes place. 100 employees are going to be relocating to California. So whether that had to do, again, why they were trying to cut staff a few weeks ago, who knows? So that's one bit of Marvel news that's going to tie into something else later on, teasing it right now. Bad Rock, I picked up Bad Rock issue 1 last week, and it was Seth DeMoose is the artist for that. Obviously, kind of put together between him and Rob Liefeld. It's I don't want to say it's weird. It's a great book as a first issue standalone series for like a Youngblood member. Really cool, really cartoony, but not too cartoony, if that makes sense. It's got kind of like taking the Youngblood artwork and kind of cartoonizing it a little bit, but not too much. It definitely feels, I compared it to almost what you would see that if you were watching Cartoon Network and here's Teen Titans, you could easily follow it up with this comic if it was done in Cartoon Network. The story is very kind of wholesome. It's really well put together. Seth did an awesome job. I've made comments also that the art with the color of the inks in this issue and the way it's all structured, it has this very glowy feeling. You don't get that so much with a Youngblood story or a Youngblood comic. This feels very much more, I think there's a more warmer tone to this. And that's not saying there's anything wrong with Youngblood's inkers by any means. I just feel like this one kind of has a little bit more of a very vibrant look to it. Youngblood comics do have some vibrancy to them, but they're very in your face. And this one's a little bit more on the warmer kind of side, I guess. So for anybody curious, if they really want to analyze it that hard. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to what Seth DeMoose has coming up next with Rob Liefeld, of course. Seth is also Grand Rapids native of Michigan, so that's really cool that he's only a couple hours from where I'm generally located in Michigan. Awesome that he's part of that. He's in that network of things for things going on in the image titles. While I'm talking about image stuff, Terminal had its big, I don't know if you call it a pre-release. The Terminal first issues or the release of Terminal isn't until technically this week, Wednesday, on the 22nd. There's people all over Whatnot right now that have, it's like a pre-release. How they got, I don't know if they just ordered it and they said, screw it, let's just start moving it right now. I've heard some people complain on Whatnot, at least so I sat in on a Rob Liefeld show Saturday night while he did some auctions. I picked up a couple good scores actually on there that I've been looking forward to adding to my collection. And he was kind of picking the brains of people talking about Terminal and the covers, because he's got 2 covers that are 1 in 50 variant and then a 1 in 250, because him and Kirkman are really close. So Kirkman was really honored to have him do a couple covers. One's just kind of like a cover F or whatever. I think it's cover F is what it's considered, but it's still kind of a harder to find cover. And then the other one's a virgin cover, and Rob loves his virgin covers. I feel like he's really good at putting covers together that are virgin covers. So that's what you expect if you. The whole thing seems to be marketed from a blind bag element to see how this turns out. It's kind of like the big launch kind of the way of doing it. When I was on Rob's show the other night, I needed some stuff for my I've been doing the Youngblood thing, reading all the issues, but I have to have all the issues to read them, and it's not easy to find all of them. And what I got technically isn't part of the linear story. It's kind of a one-shoot kind of weird. It's considered a bootleg because it's not even technically a finished book, but it's in that lineation of it completes another book in sorts. So I sat through. I wasn't going to spend $1 on his whatnot. Okay, not that I didn't want to. I'm just trying to be budget friendly this month. And then he started. I had to ask, do you have the Bloodsport bootleg 2 issue, which is a very rare, limited release that he did. I think it's really only just exclusives kind of to Whatnot at this point. And he grabbed 5 issues. And the asking price right now on these issues through eBay was well out of my price range. Rob offers it at a much friendlier price point. It's just up to you to get in there and get it while he's got it. So take advantage of the Rob Liefeld discount of sorts, if you want to call it that, because otherwise you're spending 3 times at least what he's offering, and you just have to kind of ask if he's got it. And I was very fortunate to be able to get it from him. So I'm waiting for that to arrive. And then he started talking about the terminal stuff that was going around. And again, that weekend, this last weekend, it's like every other Whatnot show had some terminal blind bag stuff. I went yesterday, Sunday, into a guy's room that was Whatnot auction, whatever room, show, technically. He had like 7 cases of terminal books, and it was kind of insane to me that someone, I mean, he's got, whether that's his kind of bread and butter kind of thing, whatever. So he was going through as many of these cases and trying to, he did like a 3-pack, and sometimes he'd throw in a 4th known cover that wasn't blind to you. It might have been an exclusive cover or whatever, or a variant cover. And I sat there, I thought, I'm not going to have the weird luck of getting something cool from Rob's show Saturday night, going Sunday midday to a random Whatnot show, and bidding on 3 blind bag books, and having any luck whatsoever of landing another Liefeld. And that's just what happened. The very first book, I paid like $27, okay, for 3 books. I don't know what the retail on them is. I'm guessing either because they're blind bag, they may be, usually Image is pretty good about pricing. They don't try to price themselves out of the market. They usually go $3.99, $4.99, and sometimes these blind bags run $5.99 to $7.99, and maybe even more. Sometimes $9.99, I think I've seen on some blind bags. So I don't know where they're pricing these things at, but I hit the one time that I scored on a blind bag thing. Plus, I won he had a giveaway, and I won a giveaway. And if you ever on Whatnot and you sit in a room and you get a giveaway, my rule of thumb for that, my etiquette towards that is sit in the room. If you win a giveaway and you haven't bought anything yet, then use the giveaway as a reason to say, okay, I will, you could tip the guy through Whatnot if you wanted to for thank you for the giveaway and just leave, that way you don't feel like you just robbed the guy blind somehow. But, just, it's about supporting the community and being grateful for these kind of forums that are available to us to get a hold of things that we don't normally find in the wild. So if I get something from a giveaway, I try to at least try to get something of some value. I don't try to break the bank because I want a giveaway. I'll get 1 or 2 items after that. I've been in Whatnots where I've bought something and then won the giveaway. So it's just, try to make it worth them doing the giveaways. If that's what, that's my etiquette. And so that's why I went and at least bid on a blind 3-pack of terminal issues. I ended up scoring not only just the Rob Liefeld 1 in 250, which Rob looked it up in his own Whatnot that night, which is, it wasn't even really on my radar. I've been so in this mindset, this one-track mind of just doing my Youngblood reading, that he looked it up, and it's average between 220 to 250 that issue right now. It's like one of the hottest tickets to get out of that, one of the hottest covers or whatever to get out of that, out of those blind bags. And here the guy cuts the first one open, and there it is, the 1 in 250. And I was like, yes. And then I have that dilemma or that debate in my head of, do I cash in on it, or do I just hold on to it? I want to hold on to it because I don't think I'll ever find another one like that again without having to actually pay whatever it is. I don't think I'll have that luck of getting another 250 out of a blind bag. But if I do, then I would feel okay with maybe selling the one. And I don't like being that guy that goes and essentially what people consider scalping the market, where you get something that's so exclusive and you're just going to capitalize on it and get in on eBay and make it the highest cost thing and make sure that people pay top dollar for you and your finding your luck. I try to, if I do anything similar to that effect, if I have something that I know is a hot ticket item, whatever, and I want to part with it because I've got an extra one, or I don't know, maybe I'm just parting with something in general, I try to see what the general lay of the land is price wise, and then I try to maybe go a buck or two less so I don't feel like I'm trying to play that scalping game, because I see where like some people just put something out there, and it's weird eBay is when it comes to people that see something of, like, I've seen an item that's someone has it listed for $100, and I've seen the same item listed for $20, and somehow the item that's listed for $100 has got more watchers on it. And then the one that's relatively the better deal and saves you more money is like, oh, one watcher. I'm like, well, why is everybody flocking to the one that's trying to get 5 times more money out of you when should be just like, it should be easy. Like, if someone brought you Nike Air Jordans and said, here, I can sell them to you for $20, or I can sell them to you for $300. You're obviously going to take them for $20, right? I mean, that makes common sense to me. So it's just weird that how some people function on eBay like that. I don't want to be one of these guys that tries to use this whole, like, capitalize on people's hardships and they're desperate and they need this item. I will value it whatever I feel is a fair value to me and to them. Obviously, there's fees attached to eBay sales now and all the different percentages. If it's a collector's item, they take a chunk out of that. You got to account for shipping, all these other things. So if I do list it, I'm going to try to be fair about it. The other 2 books I got out of that whatnot also, because what they're doing with Terminal is you can get all the different issue 1s. And I bought another one just to help support the guy too. Like, I was hoping to land another cool thing because this guy had a really crazy box of issues that was just, it felt like it was harder to get the actual normal cover A or Bs, and he was getting more of the rare covers, which seemed really weird to me. So you can get like advanced copies of future issues. So they've got in the blind bags, you can get issue 2, which Mask did that when they released, and a few other books have done that too. And then you can get issue 7 and 10. Can't remember if issue 3 is in there as well, but you can kind of get advanced copies of stuff, which if you get the advanced copies, it's kind of like a win-win for, Image and Kirkman, because now they've kind of got you as like, if you bought a couple of blind bags, you got issue 1 and you got issue 10. Now you kind of want to stick around for the rest of the issues. Maybe you go every time to the store and get an issue 2, and you see something, maybe you peruse ahead and actually read issue 10 and say, oh, wow, this is what I need to know what happens between. I end up getting 2 issue 10s, and those things are going for like $30 to $50 on eBay. I might just take one of them and put them on eBay and see where it lands, try not to be scalpy about it and get some of my money back. And I also I try to be a kind of guy who's like, I understand value to people. I understand what it's like to be down financially and still wanting certain things or having to like catch something at the right moment. I don't like to try to like rip people off by any means or take them for all they're worth. So we'll see where that goes. But that was my whatnot experiences of this weekend. It was pretty wild. I've been very blessed, I guess, to say this weekend with what my scores were. I also grabbed other things that have been coming in droves of trying to get my Youngblood stuff caught up and everything, and I've been catching up with all that. So, and going back to that real quick before I go to my main point, the Youngblood stuff, I'm in the strike file stories now. I'm going to be going into issue 6 tonight or whatever. I'm just reading through. I haven't found, like, there's a couple different orders out there to how to read these. It to some extent, it doesn't make sense when I hit a story and then it jumps around. And I'm sure I will catch all the where, like when I catch other side titles like Team Youngblood and other things that are in between all this stuff, it all start kind of lining up in my head of, oh yeah, that's where that goes. And I've ran into Overt Kill in issue 5, which he was a Spawn character. There was a tease of him in one of the earlier issues of Youngblood. And so there was this jumping around between Youngblood and Spawn and then back to Youngblood where he makes another appearance. And so you kind of have to know some of these other things. You have to kind of connect them together. A great marketing technique for Image to make sure you buy, or at least at that time, to buy their other titles so you can kind of piece everything together, just like the crossover stuff that Marvel would always do or DC would always do. That's where I'm at with Youngblood stuff, and I'm just trying to get as many of the books so I can keep continuing on my journey of reading, of destroying my normal routine of posting random buys and finds and just sticking with my challenge here of buying. It's not a challenge if you enjoy it, really. So I am enjoying the story so far. I'm picking up a lot of cool inspiration from it. I'm learning a lot of things of the Youngblood stories from it, and I'm just embarking along. So it's great. Get out there, and I suggest get Bad Rock 1. Seth the Moose is a really awesome dude. From everything I've seen of him chatting up on, he'll join in whatnots and everything and chat with people that are wanting to know things about the book or whatever. Not too much, but And yeah, so main story, here we go. Doomsday. This morning, I got on my phone at like 6:30-ish, 7 o'clock. Now, if you remember, if you listened to some of my earlier podcasts, like 3, when I did my Spider-Man ranking, right? I had a theory that by Spider-Man brand new day, we were going to get, I thought it was going to be really you're going to go to Spider-Man brand new day and boom, there's Doomsday, which you probably are at this point, because I went on my phone this morning and there was some teaser with the Fantastic Four about Avengers Doomsday. And there was not really any pre-warning, anything. Like there was no hint of, guess what's coming tomorrow. They really just sprung it on you today. And that was like, okay, cool. They're going to, my hunch was correct that we're going to get the trailer to be released the opening weekend of Brand New Day. But then I thinking about it in retrospect after this afternoon, it made sense because they usually do like launch the trailer a week or two before they put it in theaters just to kind of like now get excited, now get to the theater. It's just the way they do things sometimes. I get on my phone again this afternoon when I'm at work. I'm getting ready to leave work technically, so I just hopped on my phone real quick and there it is. And I thought, wait a minute, okay, so this is another teaser. No, it is the full-blown trailer to Doomsday. I was at this point where I'm shuffling around trying to just get to my vehicle to go home, and I'm like, I gotta get home and watch this now. It was so insane. I'm not going to spoil it because, for one, I've said it plenty of times before. We all have the internet. We all have the ability to go watch it on our own. Someone's probably listening to my podcast right now and saying, don't ruin it for me. And even by the time they get to this podcast, it's probably already been ruined for them. I don't want to be the ruiner of movies or trailers. I'll talk about certain points of things. But overall, there's so many social media accounts right now that are just like caked into this right now. They're right in knee deep with it. So me doing anything, I don't try to be like all these other social media accounts where I have to do the reaction video and watch it while I'm like watching, play the video while I'm watching it and do all that. I think that's cool. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just there's so many people that do the same stuff. I don't want to do the same stuff as everybody else. I tell you, I'm already like one of a group of like however many hundreds of people, I'm sure, that do what I'm doing right now. I don't need to do what every other 100 people are doing at this exact same moment, and you have to go through each one and like that guy did it cooler than this guy, or when it's not like to me a competition. I love the comic book community. I love that we get moments like this. I love that we get this excitement that gets us like, you might have been in the last week kind of like, yeah, I've seen enough Spider-Man Brand New Day stuff, and Odyssey was this last weekend or like in the last week or so. And that's doing really well. Christopher Nolan, it's becoming one of his best grossing films so far. Still got to see it. I'm seeing more bits and pieces of it, and I'm definitely wanting to see it. I'm just not. Again, budget. I've been spending tons of money on books, so I'm trying to be very, very conscious of my wallet and my bank account right now. Got big things down the road that I want to be able to be ready for when they come, and obviously, Brand New Day. I'd rather have my money invested in that right now than seeing Odyssey, because I know Odyssey, that's been like, you have to see it on the big screen for it to have that effect. But I'm content with whatever seeing however I get to see anything. So I popped on my phone when I got home, watched the Doomsday trailer, and wow, that's all I could say. Wow. They say that I don't say they say, I say that I have moments where you get the goosebumps feeling and it goes up your neck, right? You get some sort of just wow factor that goes up your brain, in the back, like the back stem of your brain. And you feel like the hairs on your back of your neck kind of go up like spider senses, right? I had that 3 times. It seems like once you do it once, it's hard to recover and get it to happen 1 or 2 more times. It happened 3 times in this trailer in short periods of time. It's only like a 2.5 minute trailer. We get, we pretty much know the cast is going to be the X-Men, Fantastic Four, parts of the Avenger team, Thor. I mean, if you look at the movie poster itself, Dr. Doom, obviously, we know that whole thing. But the trailer was just, for being such a short trailer, it was so well put together. For anybody that's a novice comic book fan, it didn't reveal too much to you. You just kind of get an idea of like, oh, this is going to be wild. You see the X-Men scenes, you see the Fantastic Four scenes, you see the Black Panther scenes, you see Thor and Dr. Doom, and so you don't get much out of that. Now, from all the stuff that's been discussed about it, and then seeing how it was shaped and you get Loki. Loki made a small bit appearance in there. Seeing how the trailer played out, you can kind of, if you take the bits and pieces of information that are just hearsay right now, based on the plot that is being presumed to be taking place, you can kind of take the trailer and take that bits of information and compile it and figure it out. Like, you're like, oh yeah. And you're still not going to get a lot of, you're still going to be excited to get your ticket and sit in a theater and see it all play out, and make sure, like, even if you kind of in your mind have a hunch of how it's going to go, there's still a lot of things that it's just like, I'm excited. I am super excited. I've been in this weird limbo with Marvel that it's just been tough to, I just talked earlier about their move to California and how to some people that feels like a knife in the gut, that they just, if you've ever worked for a company, right, or a business where they were say, we're never going to do that, and then they do exactly what they said they weren't going to do. They tell you, yeah, don't worry, it's all like lollipops and candy canes from here on out. We got this, like change your ownership or whatever, right? And then they do something that you don't agree with. Let's just say, you worked at a McDonald's or a Burger King or a restaurant. I've worked at a restaurant where things got really shooken up at one point, and it was like, wow, it didn't feel like this was ever going to happen, but it happened, and so that's just kind of, to some people, I'm sure maybe some Marvel employees of the New York area are probably not happy if they have to relocate. Maybe some of them are just looking to move on or get different positions somewhere else. That's a big upheaval of life for 100 people to have to probably make a choice right then and there. Are you with us or are you not? The whole laying off employees around CinemaCon, the whole very pretentious, we've got Infinity Vision. There's things that I don't feel like this would have been Stan Lee's playbook if he still owned Marvel or was basically the voice of Marvel. I don't think he would have gone about it in this drastic. I honestly don't think he would have ever left New York to embark on California, no matter how much money you threw at him. I think he was loyal to that city. He loved the people of New York. So I don't think like this whole thing feels like it's just kind of shedding their skin. They're like going to be this whole new thing now. We've seen everything else that Disney's done, and to give them credit, Disney's done some amazing things that Marvel on its own at a certain period of time could never have done by themselves or on their own without having to have a lot of help to financially make it worth the assignment or the risk. And Disney has got what I would like to probably say is bottomless pockets. Who knows? I'm sure they've got a lot of red that they're clearing out still financially, but they're good for it. They're never, I wouldn't put money on saying that Disney will never go out of business because they've got way too many hands in places that would never allow that to happen. They've got theme parks and everything. There's too many. They've got assurances that Marvel and even any other comic book studio really doesn't have. DC probably has it with Warner Brothers, but you never know. Warner Brothers could always do something different and crazy, and then next thing you know, DC's hurting for it. And so with all the things that Disney, Marvel, I'll put those two together, have done, it's tough to want to feel good about being like Brand New Day and Doomsday and Secret Wars. Eventually, this whole Doomsday thing is going to turn to Secret Wars, and that's going to be another. I mean, this Doomsday and Secret Wars are like Infinity Game and Infinity War and Endgame. It's going to be just like you have to see both of them, and it's going to like blow your mind when you do. But I just have a hard time. I bought some Marvel books recently. There's only really one Marvel title that I'm kind of feel dedicated to, and even then I'm opening it. I'm not feeling too satisfied with reading it. It's the X-Men 97 book. It's not a bad read. It's just a very bloated with ads read, which has been kind of their thing lately. And the animation, I mean, they're playing off a comic book it's a comic book that plays off of a cartoon. So it's not like they're going to put their top talent on it. Not saying that the people that are designing it or drawing it are untalented. They're just making it kind of be this title that just gets you, it serves its purpose. It gives you a book that relates to the animated series. And I have a deep place in my heart for the old animated series. So it's like, I feel like I'm only doing this out of dedication to that. Otherwise, I wouldn't. There's really anything that Marvel's putting out on a comic book level. There's nothing that has enticed me to want to buy them. Image is knocking it out of the park. They've got a lot of really great things in the works. They've been putting a lot of cool things out there. You've got Boom Studios have been kind of like keeping pace with some of their titles. And actually, I've been meaning to say this for like the last month or so. My wife bought the compendium, the number one compendium one of Something is Killing the Children. She's a big manga anime reader, and I've let her read a few comic books here and there, like Absolute Batman, just to get her like opinion on it. She didn't finish it. I know she was like really interested by it, but she's got other things bigger on her plate in the anime world that she really follows. But she had been seeing on one of her apps or whatever that she reads through that there's something killing the children. I feel weird saying that title because it sounds so bad. So she has been reading some of that, and then we went to the comic book store together, and then she looked in the trade paperback area, and she bought the whole first big giant issue 1 that has everything that's basically kind of caught up to now. So now she's just like, now she's on this gear where she's going to, so mission accomplished. I got her to buy a comic book, a trade paperback, but either way. So they're doing crazy things. DC is still, I feel like DC, the Absolute Universe is really the glue that's keeping that thing from just kind of on. I mean, there's other titles that are not Absolute titles that people are diehards for, but they do like the little cheap, like smaller trade paperbacks of sorts, like the smaller, I forget what they're called, but like the portable books for $10, and that's a really good deal, and you can get a whole like basically like Batman Hush or whatever, some big storylines, Crisis on Infinite Earths or Doomsday, they had their Doomsday, right, with Doomsday Superman, of course, or Nightfall, whatever. You can get all their little like story runs in these little tinier books that are more compact and like seems to be the next thing. They're like manga size, of course. So, but I still feel like if I had to rank the big 3, I'm going to say Image is on top just by I wouldn't even say a hair. I'd say a head full of hair. They are really doing it because, I mean, think about it. There's Dork and Invincible's still pretty strong. They've got Negan Lives. It's another title that's recently just been kind of taken, making strides. Continuation of The Walking Dead or whatever. Then, they still got Walking Dead finding money coming in, and then Battle Beast. Just so many different things that they got. Youngblood. I'm not gonna throw them out of the loop. And honestly, I know that there's going to be people listening to this and say, why do you keep like giving Rob Liefeld credit for things? The guy has literally he's on his like 4th or 5th printing of issue 100 right now. So there's a fan base, and for that kind of thing. Image is doing great things. They've been doing great things for a while. They still got all their other, like their legacy titles of Spawn and all these other things. And the proof is in the pudding when it comes to numbers. The Image is just like right in there. They're in the mix with everybody in terms of like competing sales. They've been doing their homework. They've got really great writing. They've got really good titles. They're constantly working on stuff, and they aren't trying to pretentiously sell you on anything. DC doesn't really, but I think this whole thing with DC now is become James Gunn and the Gunverse is what I call it, which I'm not opposed to. I just think I think he's losing some momentum after Supergirl. Not that it was a bad film, it's just that there's things that are now kind of coming together for him because he's a very quirky director. He's a very quirky visionary of sorts. He's got this like way of things going the way they go, and he didn't direct Supergirl, but now there's been all this like this heat on him for having kind of interjected himself into it and making it, and it definitely felt like his film more than it did the person who did direct it. So that's where there's some things that kind of feel like, is there this control factor here? Is there some, like if this is, people can't play well together at DC with him in charge? I don't know. That's pure speculation. I'm not saying that's the case at all. And Image is just like rolling along, like, here we go. We got another title and it's booming. And now we got Terminal, which is the next big thing. Robert Kirkman is walking gold at this point. I hate to say it like that, but he really is just like he's got a good way about him. He is very savvy when it comes to comic books and having his but like marching to the beat of his own drum. He doesn't try to like play off a lot of too many other things. He tries to be a little outside the box thinking. That's what we need more of in this thing. And I dropped my pen. But Marvel is just feeling like they're just surviving off of the next 3 big films. What was interesting about the trailer, and I mean, again, I'm not trying to give anything away. You get Shang-Chi, whatever, in it, or Shang-Chi. I don't know. The guy that they launched their whole next phase off of, he hasn't been in anything. I mean, really, they brought him in, Shang-Chi, right? They brought him in to be how now we've got our 10 Rings story, Mandarin. Oh, finally put Mandarin in after you killed Iron Man. Sorry, but the third film should have been legit Mandarin. Like, come on. You had to bring Ben Kingsley in to play this goofy Mandarin that it's just like, it was fun, for what it's worth, but we didn't. Iron Man 3, arguably the worst Iron Man film, because it just didn't, I don't know, it missed a point with it. Oh, by the way, I forgot Deadpool 4 is on the way too, so they're going to be like milking that. And I hate to say milking it because that's Ryan Reynolds like keeping that thing going. That was announced news yesterday. I should have put it in my notes, but Deadpool 4 has been rumored to be happening now, based on Ryan Reynolds saying it's going to happen, because he's got some stuff that has got to be done that he never got to do with the last 3 films. So I love the Marvel films when they're good, and I appreciate the ones that are bad, only because I know they're not all going to be Endgame. They're not all going to be Brand New Day. They're all not going to be Doomsday. They all are serving a purpose, and I understand that you're playing with 7-year contracts with these actors or actresses or whoever's playing a villain. I understand you've had some hiccups along the way with the Kang dynasty, with everything else that's been coming up to this point. You've found a way to pivot yourself in a weird way to get positioned where now Doomsday is like the next. We were supposed to have been talking about Kang Dynasty right now, honestly. Like in the last year, that should have all been happening before Doomsday, and then that whole thing fell apart. So it's just that I give Marvel on the film front a huge buffer zone to allow for mistakes, allow for situations, allow for things they just out of their control. Because they won me over so well from phase 1 to Endgame that I feel like you've given yourself a big room of padding with me. It's just like in sports, and in Detroit sports is just, let me get into that another time. The general managers of a team are given this window of time to make great things happen for their team. And if they don't do things productively in a 3 to 4 year window of being the general manager of a team, that they obviously had to bring a general manager in to fix something. So they come in and they get things moving. If by like year 4 or 5, things aren't any better than when that guy took over the team, there's that proverbial hot seat that person sits in. Now it becomes a situation of, now like one more bad season of this, we're firing him. But then you have that one general manager comes in and he does like something good for the first 3 or 4 years. And then things out of his control happen, injuries or whatever, and then he gets like thrown into that hot seat immediately because this wasn't supposed to happen. But there's a lot of people that will offer some level of forgiveness because you did see something better than what you expected. The Detroit Lions right now, Brad Holmes and Campbell, Dan Campbell, have done things for this Detroit Lions team that nobody ever expected in a window of time, 3 or 4 year window. And now in the last season, they kind of suffered for some situations out of the control. So now do you say next year is, like one and done, or you're done after this, or like we have faith that you can get us back there? And I feel like that with Marvel and their cinematic universe. Comic books, the Marvel comic books just don't resonate with me like they used to. I've picked up some titles. I've tried like Jubilee 1 or, and it just doesn't. The cover looks great. They do some really awesome things on a design level. And then when you start going through it, you feel like, this isn't my Marvel anymore. It's just not my thing. And Image is what started to win me over by doing things the way that I've always enjoyed them being. And that doesn't mean that they don't have some elements of art that aren't as 90s-ish, like that. That's what I'm used to, is late 80s, 90s art, comic book art, the Jim Lees, the Rob Liefelds, the McFarlanes, the Eric Larsons, the Bagleys. I mean, it's just like, that is my thing. Just like anybody 20 or 30 years older than me will say, oh, screw those guys, Ditko, Kirby, like that's their generation. That's what they appreciated. We're all going to have our different tastes. We can all just agree to disagree that whoever is great or good or whatever. And so, and there's so many strays that go flying at some of these artists for doing what they do or how they do it the way they do it. And it's just like, hey, you know what? That person, this artist he's got a fan base. Like if you don't like his art, then you don't have to bash his fan base. We're not going to bash your fan base. Or let's keep it within the constraints of respect, But yeah, with Marvel, I'm looking forward to Brand New Day. I'm looking forward to Doomsday. I'm looking forward to Secret Wars. I just thought it was funny that, like, here's a character you started off this whole story with the Eternals, which that's like out the window apparently at this point. There's only one thing of recognition to the Eternals that's still lingering around in the last few movies. So the Celestial that came out of the ground or whatever. But here you are, like, you had all these movies to do what you did with the first 3 or 4 phases of everything into Endgame, where you could have thrown Shang-Chi into something else and like, oh, cool, he's talking to Miss Marvel or something. I don't know. I mean, just they did some things like that with Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, and then the Thunderbolts, where they crossed over all that and made their own little like West Coast Avengers kind of thing or whatever you want to consider it. It's not technically, well, I guess it is technically West Coast Avengers to some extent because U.S. Agent, but it's just still. Like, this Doomsday trailer is giving me hope, but then I see what Marvel's doing behind the scenes, and I also just kind of feel like you got me in this like plateau where I'm neither like too excited or underexcited. I'm just like, let's just get through this. Let's get past this point. Let's see where you guys go. Can you correct? Can you right all the wrongs? Are you going to get everything back up to the way it was supposed to be? I don't know. I mean, obviously Doomsday is going to be that, like, feeling like you did when you were in Endgame or Infinity War. But otherwise, or feeling like Avengers 1. I just, it's tough because movies are a really tough thing to nail. You're playing with a limited amount of time. The COVID didn't help either, obviously, with some situations. With comic books, you can go on a 10-year run and nail some 3 or 4 good stories in that 10-year run that are like legendary for that title. And then you can hit a lull, and then you come back around and you like nail another story, or like another 5-issue whatever, and that brings you back. You don't get that buffer with live people because they seldomly stick around for a project for 20 years 20 plus years. I'm sorry, it's just, that's the tough thing. People are so bummed that we lost Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and really you got him in a 10-year window. And that's pretty long. That's a long lifespan for a live action superhero, is 10 years. And you didn't even really get the meat of what his comics covered. As I was saying earlier, Mandarin, you didn't get that, like, here's Mandarin in his rings, and here's Iron Man and his, his blasters, whatever, going, his weapons, weapon to weapon battery. I mean, there's some iconic panels of just Iron Man blasting away at the 10 rings, and it's like Star Wars, where it's like they're at that, like the sabers are just stuck, or the Force is like holding on, whatever. And those are like some iconic moments, and you kind of held off all the cool solo stuff for Iron Man, other than Jebediah or whatever in the first film. You didn't touch anything from, it didn't really hit right with Iron Man's. I love the Iron Man films because I love Robert Downey Jr.'s performance of Iron Man, but the stories were just not comic correct to some extent anatomically. There were some levels, there were some points in them that they did good, but they saved all the good stuff for the Avengers stuff, which makes sense too, because Avengers was a great title, because of the chemistry between the heroes. So that's the thing that everybody is so bummed at now. Like, we're getting into the next phases. Right now, if you had Avengers versus X-Men, which may or may not be teased in this trailer, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. It's not Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and it's not. It's Falcon as Captain America. It's not your traditional Avengers versus your traditional X-Men. And we're finally getting comic accurate looking X-Men in this film. We don't have the proper Avengers to fight them off in a cool crossover battle like we've gotten in the comics. But that's not saying that this is going to make or break this film. I mean, you just never know. Anything can happen. That's the thing I'm going to throw out there. This trailer could give you so many things and ideas and brainstorms about what's going to happen. Don't expect it. Marvel can completely pull the rug out from underneath you, just like they did 100 employees in New York. Had to throw that one in there. So just be prepared. Get online if you want to watch the trailer. It's an awesome trailer. I'm trying not to spoil it for you. And just, we're only a week and a half away or so, almost 2 weeks away from Brand New Day. And I feel like the momentum's starting to slowly fall off. It's gonna go in strong. Don't get me wrong. Now Doomsday, it was smarter of them to release this trailer like they did, because you're gonna go into Spider-Man like raging blue pill in your system. You're going to be like, well, there's going to be something in Brand New Day that's got to connect to Doomsday. It would be unintelligent of Sony and Marvel to not take advantage of the fact that you've got these two gigantic forces that are leading in December, and we know what comes after Doomsday is going to be Tom Holland and Secret Wars. And if they can't bungle that up, because Secret Wars is one of the most iconic Marvel stories that ever hit a panel or a front cover. You've got the black suit Spider-Man right there with his arms out, like, what the heck's going on? That's just like one of the most iconic things. And if they drop the ball on that one, I mean, that's just it. And I don't think they will. It's too much invested into it, too much on the line. And honestly, I'll end with this. I feel like they knew that the news moving to California probably did not look good. It did not reciprocate amongst people. Probably New Yorkers are not really too thrilled about that being what's happening, losing one of their big, like, iconic staples of their city. And then you got all the other people in the comic industry are already kind of looking at Marvel as like this weird corporate takeover thing. So what perfect timing to release Doomsday after they make the big giant, we're moving, take the heat off our shoulders for a minute, because look what we're giving you now. Perfect timing, right? It's just that now you're like, I went in a Doomsday trailer and I'm like completely almost forgot that, oh yeah, they did all these other things in the last few weeks, including just recently with the move But hey, they gave us a Doomsday trailer finally, so now we got that to sit and brew and stew on and be excited for while they make all their little like behind closed doors moves. That's my episode. I didn't give anything away. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Substack, YouTube, and Spotify, and get out there and enjoy this weather while it still lasts. It's end of July almost, and I am going to be so sad when Doomsday is here and it's snowing, even though Doomsday is in theaters. Don't let yourself be confined to your house all day reading. Get out there and enjoy your sunlight while it still exists, because I'm already seeing the daylight's getting shorter by the minute, and it's kind of depressing, but I'll get through it. Till next time, see ya.
Let's cut out of here.